The sponsor for this episode of The Stand is AccuFile. Need trusted legal support without the overhead? For nearly 40 years, AccuFile has partnered with law firms and legal departments to streamline operations with flexible, cost-effective services. From legal research and library management to digital transformation and expert staffing.
Hello, Lemonaders. It's Alan Wilson from GLJ Benefit Consultants, and welcome to another episode of The Stand. On the Lemonade for Legal Network, it's our podcast that addresses modern law firm issues and their solutions. Our guest this week, you're going to love this guy. If you have never met this guest, and you're in the legal industry, well, I don't know where you've been, but it is our friend, but first-time Lemonhead. He's the co-founder and senior vice president of business development for Centerbase. He is an artist and co-host of Mostly Legal podcast. Our friend, welcome, Rob Joyner. Rob,
Thanks
welcome.
for having me today. Thanks for having me, Alan. I'm excited to be a first-time Lemonhead, and I'm excited to spend some time with you as well. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're thrilled to have you, Rob. It's when we launched this podcast, we couldn't think of, we made a list, and Rob, you were second on the list. But you were still at the top. Who
was first? Who was first? Hold on.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I'm flattered to be second. There's a lot of great people in this space that I would put ahead of me.
We're just thrilled to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. And as you know, Rob, and as we've talked, and as you've seen on the already on the podcast, that we have 22 minutes, man, which is crazy, especially for me. We have 22 minutes to address a single issue for law firms and a solution, right? So that's what we're going to provide here. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being here. First of all, tell us just a little bit about Centerbase.
Yeah, so Centerbase is a legal practice and management platform for mid-sized law firms. So we do things like your billing, your accounting, practice management, and really help drive your efficiencies in the firm and also profitability for your firm as well.
That's a perfect description. So I think one of the things we wanted to talk about, and I think that this is most important, is we always define what is the issue. So can you tell us, because I know what you're going to say, but boy, you let us know what you guys face and what is your biggest issue?
Yeah, I think so. A big issue that we see law firms face is a resistance to new technology, and once you get over that hump of that resistance, right, or as you're dealing with it, you also have a factor of change management and managing that change effectively as well. And a lot of law firms that we deal with, and over the years, I've now done this 11 years, dealt with thousands of firms. You see a pattern of these same issues pop up time and time again.
So what you're saying, or at least what I'm hearing, is change management and firm resistance. It always seems that in the conversations that I have with law firms, or maybe I've been in a law firm, and they say to me, well, we're putting in new technology, and it's just, everyone is scared, and it's just like going 150 miles an hour in a Ferrari, and everyone's scared, and it's new. Is that what you experience with you and your team?
100%. We deal with it and we see it all the time. You brought up a really good point. There's just this fear factor, right? You're dealing with attorneys are typically, and I'm going to make some generalizations here, but they're typically risk adverse, right? And so when you talk about new technology with somebody that's risk adverse, that maybe hasn't leaned on technology as much throughout their career to have success, that makes them very nervous. Some of the other things that you're dealing with as well when you talk about new technology is within a firm, and typically Centerbase is working with firms that are between, call it 20 and 200 employees. Sometimes there can be a lack of ownership in the project. So, hey, I'm going to work on it with the administrator is going to work on it, right? The executive director, the COO, the firm administrator, IT is going to own it as well. They're going to maybe lead the project. So you see some juggling going on there, and the lack of ownership, I think, draws some fear on from the people that are actually working through the project. And finally, another thing that I would bring up as well, when you're going into a project like this, you've decided that, hey, it's time to replace the technology, but this is something that person, that administrator, or that IT professional has maybe only done a few times throughout their career, especially the administrator. And so you're asking them to do something that's not very familiar. I often, and I've done this for 11 years now, a lot of the time it's their first time doing it. They've maybe done it one other time, and it was 10 to 20 years ago. So asking them to create that process and asking them, to do something that's such a high stakes environment as switching out the technology, especially a big piece like Centerbase, it's very nerve wracking for them to take on.
So as you speak to the really the resistance, are you getting that more because it's really a multi-generational resistance within the firm? Because look, we know with dealing with law firms, there's 4 generations in these firms now. And there's many of them really don't necessarily use technology that is even in place. And then they hear there's going to be new technology, and then there's some that can't wait for new technology. So is that part of it?
100%. Especially right now, you see a big, when we're dealing with firms, you see that more senior, I don't want to use age in this, but
Sure.
some of the founding members, or maybe some of the name partners, right? They've been around the firm for a long time. They never really relied on technology, right? They saw technology, especially when it comes to the practice management, billing, and accounting. That was just, they might not have had practice management. They had billing and accounting, and it was something they had in the background as a necessity, right? Then you see this younger generation of partner coming up, and for them, part of their group in this demographic sees technology as a way to enable them to run the practice better, to serve their clients better. And with AI out there, the view of technology is changing as well. And this younger partnership, and quite frankly, attorneys in general are noticing it. But the younger partners are like, hey, for us to survive, right, as a firm, we really have to think about technology and how we're utilizing it. I would go even further, Alan. You said there's like 4 different generations. I think you get to the youngest generation as well. And I've seen this as a sales leader for a long time, but I think you're starting to see it in the law firms too, is when an attorney's coming into a firm, they now care about what that tech stack looks like, right? When they're evaluating what firm they're going to go to, they see it as a way to really something that they can take advantage of, a great tech stack, in order to get to that partnership level faster and to really build those relationships with new clients as they're building their own book of business as well.
And there's this mindset that when people hear we're bringing in new technology or a new process or new program, it's, oh my gosh, my life's going to be horrible for X amount of time, or it's just, it's too much. It's too much too soon. And I think that we'll talk about that in the next segment is, how do you slow the burn, right? How do you make it, task-based? How do you make it, where it becomes acceptable, right? We're going to get some early wins, or we're going to focus on using this technology for intake, or we're going to focus this technology for managing billable hours. because there's got to be that, oh my gosh, I don't want to have to learn this because this learning curve is just going to be way too big. And I got to build some hours. How am I going to do? That's going to be fun to understand how you slow that burn.
Yeah. And I think one of the most interesting things that I wouldn't have expected, and it's maybe because of where I fall on this technology curve as just a person myself, is you see a lot of the resistance from the more senior partners due to the fact that they don't want to look like they aren't intelligent in front of their peers because they can't understand how to use the technology. I would have never guessed that. I would have never guessed that, but it's a real factor that the administrator or the champion within the firm that's really trying to bring new technology in has to consider as part of their change management process when they are speaking with different partners in the partnership.
Well, Rob, I think we've defined what the issue is. So
Yes.
On the other side of this, we're going to talk about focused solution and solutions that slow the burn and help get over all of these concerns that you run into with change management. So we're going to be back right after this.
Looking for trusted legal support services without the overhead? For nearly 40 years, AccuFile Incorporated has partnered with law firms and legal departments to deliver flexible, cost-effective solutions that fit your unique needs. From on-demand legal research and library management to digital document transformation, policy development, off-site storage negotiation, and expert staffing. What sets AccuFile apart is our tailored service models designed specifically for your firm's unique needs, ensuring a customized approach rather than a one-size-fits-all solution. We offer on-demand support with no use-it-or-lose-it restrictions. You only pay for what you need when you need it. Backed by 4 decades of experience in legal information services, our proven expertise ensures reliable and efficient results. AccuFile delivers the reliable, right-fit support you can trust. Let's connect today.
Hey, we're back with Rob Joyner from Centerbase, and we have identified the issue: change management and firm resistance to new technology. Welcome back, Rob, and thanks for hanging in with us. Let's talk about solutions, because this side of it, we got 11 minutes now to nail this, okay? Change management, it's tough. There's resistance. There's new technology coming in. People are scared. There's just all these things happening. How do we slow the burn? How do you guys go about making it a wonderful bluebirds flying in the sky experience for the firm?
Okay, so why don't we start here? It actually has nothing to do with Centerbase. What I find a lot of the time is when a firm decides that they're going to make a technology change, the first thing you want to do is start reaching out to the vendors. And that's the wrong thing to do. There's a really interesting statistic, and I looked it up right before we jumped on here. That's just an industry statistic for software. And the statistic is, by the time most buyers contact a software company like Centerbase in most industries, they're 70 to 80% through the buying process. I can tell you, just based on the amount of time and the days it takes for a law firm to purchase a product like Centerbase or a document management system or something like that, they are not 70 or 80% through the process, right? A lot of the times they might be 5 or 10% through the process. And I think, again, they're contacting vendors first, but what you actually want to do is you want to start differently when you're managing this change within your firm. The first thing that I would recommend that someone does is start with your people, and then you put a process in place, and then you actually contact the vendor. When you contact the vendor too early, what ends up happening, and I can dive into each of these elements, but when you contact a vendor too early, what I've seen happen is when the process isn't really well laid out, it dies, right? After it's taken 3 or 4 months, if you haven't laid that process out well, and if you aren't moving through it well, and you're working with a vendor for more than 3 or 4 months, the project tends to die, which ends up meaning you've wasted your time, your team's wasted their time as well. And sometimes another project becomes prioritized, and you don't end up getting the software that the firm needs right away.
So is that speaking to the firm, say, making a decision of, hey, we just need new technology, without taking that time to say, why do we need that technology?
Yes.
And what is it going to do to help us? How is it going to solve a real life issue that we face inside the firm? What areas do we need to improve? And then apply the Band-Aid, right? Or then apply the true solution. I just think being in a technology company, boy, if you didn't have that, then you're spending 4 or 5 months into, trying to diagnose really what the issue is, and you're trying to plug things in, and people they don't like it because there's no plan, there's no flight plan.
Alan, you're ready to join the team.
Okay.
You've got it down. You know exactly what you're talking about. So as I mentioned earlier, the first thing that you really need to do is around your people. And there's 2 different elements to that. One is you need to put together a committee of who's going to help you make this decision. You need a lot of top-down buy-in, especially in a law firm, because there's such an interesting hierarchy to law firms. And you might have a partnership group, and if one partner hasn't bought in, and you know this, Alan, if one partner doesn't buy in, it can derail the whole process. So you need to have a committee that has that top-down buy-in, but that can also help you manage the project. The other thing that you need to do around people, and this is where the change management comes in, is people want to be heard, right? And you also need to really diagnose what is the pain that you're trying to solve. And the best way to do that is, as one of your first steps, is you need to go interview different people in different departments with different skill levels and really understand what that pain is that you're trying to solve for. And if you can tie it to some kind of actual physical metric, like it's taking 8 days, this should take 2. It's taking, we're missing 20 hours a month in time because we're not capturing all our time. Something like this, if you can quantify it, it's going to help you get this across the finish line better. It's going to help the vendor better position their product. And it's going to be a better overall experience. So that's the first thing you need to do is really get your people bought in and get your team around you to help you go about this process.
So once they've identified that goal, and once they've identified, when I say goal, I would say the pain point. This is this is where we're here today. We want to be here tomorrow, right? And then they engage with the technology company. Then what are the steps there, or from there forward, with the technology company to make sure that the solution is the right fit?
Well, I would take a step back. I keep pushing back, and Centerbase is going to listen to this and they're going to say, "Oh my gosh, Rob, you keep telling these firms not to contact us," and that's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to make it really effective for the firms once they do contact us. But the next thing you want to do is you want to define that process, right? You have your people in place. What's the process going to look like? What are the different things we're going to evaluate, right? What's meaningful to us now that we know what this pain is? What are the demos that we need to put in place? Who are those vendors we're going to evaluate? When do we have a technology that we're having to replace that's going to be end of life at some time, or a contract we need to navigate around? If so, well, when do we need to get these things done by? So you need to figure out what that process looks like. Communicate it to your vendor too, because ALA is great about calling them business partners, right? Vendors are business partners. We truly can be a partner. Alan, you can be a partner. We can help you through this process. We don't have to be annoying salespeople. And the more you help us understand your process, the more we can help you guide you through it, because it's something we deal with on a daily basis. So you've got your people, right? You've got that in place. Your process is in place. Then it's time to contact your vendors.
Well, and then by doing that, then the success metric goes up tremendously, right?
Tremendously.
I mean, it goes up dramatically. And then the action plan is then put into place with your chosen, business partner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then your partner's in it. You clearly understand each other's goals and objectives. And specifically, the business partner understands, Centerbase would understand what the company and what that firm wants to get out of it.
Right.
Then then does it weave through this? Okay, here's that action plan, but it's not too much too fast. It is very pointed, and we're going to get some wins on this. And then we're going to go to another level. So we're going to experience some wins. Yeah. How do I'm real big on anything that we do is, okay, let's measure it. Okay. Yes. And how do we measure it? How do we measure the wins? And then if we're not having wins, why are we not having wins?
Yeah, it's a great point. Whenever you implement new technology, there's going to be a trough. Right? You're going to go into a trough. It's different. Everybody's excited. Then they're frustrated. Then they come out excited again. But part of that backside of getting them excited again, and kind of mucking through the bottom, is pointing back to what were our original goals, measuring them, and communicating that success. Right? Just like what you're saying. And if you're doing that, you're a lot more likely to come out successful instead of seeing a failed project.
I love it. I think that the process being defined, excuse me, I'm going to go back to that. I love it. So I think that is, or at least what I'm hearing and what I'm getting out of this, and I know that the Lemonheads are going to be getting, I'm sorry. I'm going to do that all over again. Rob, I love that. I think what I'm getting out of this, and certainly the listeners and all of our Lemonaders, are getting out of this, is that change management is difficult, but it doesn't have to be. With a great plan, with communicated goals and objectives, and measurable outcomes.
And keeping your people involved.
And keeping your people involved. Absolutely. I love it. We have solved an issue on the stand. Thank you for taking the stand with us, Rob Joyner. And we just appreciate you being here. And do you have anything that you might want to wrap up with?
What I'd wrap up with is at Centerbase, we're here to help you navigate these changes. We're always willing to jump on with you, help you map it out, talk through the issues you're having. At the end of the day, we want the right firms to come to Centerbase. So even if it's, not the perfect fit, we're here to help you navigate the change that you're going through. Just reach out. You can reach out to me directly on LinkedIn as well. We're here to help.
Great. Rob, thanks for taking the stand today and making some lemonade with us. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me.